Welcome back, folks. How we doing? Crazy stuff going on, isn't it? We got Carson Wentz going to the Colts. We have Aaron Kromer leaving the Rams. How's everyone doing on this Thursday night? Right now, I'm trying to beat a snowstorm. Pump out a nice live stream on a Thursday night and get home safely. Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well. Excited to be here in the studio and be able to do this. But yeah, what's up? How we doing, Galaxy Gaming? To my viewers on Twitter, appreciate you for tuning in. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna get started off with the newest news, and that, of course, is the emergence of the news that just came out about Aaron Kromer not going to be on the coaching staff with the Rams. He's not going to be the run game coordinator or the offensive line coach. He's one of the absolute best offensive line coaches in all of football. So it's definitely a bummer. It's a disappointment in that regard. But at the end of the day, you have to look. This is somebody, to me. What he was able to do for this offensive line, at one point putting them in position to win Offensive Line of the Year award, built Ford Tough in 2018, had a little bit of a setback in 2019, but you saw, towards the end of the year, that progression, the last 4 games of the season, you had to feel good about what you had there in Aaron Kromer. So, I mean, he's had a track record of, doing things everywhere he goes, and this is a pretty big loss for the Rams. Now, this comes off the bat of the fact, apparently this was mutual, which is interesting. I think I just saw out of the 19 coaches from the 2018 Super Bowl team, 14 are gone. That means only 5 remain. I could be wrong on that. I don't remember where I saw that, but I think I just saw it on Twitter. But I mean, that's insane. That's pretty insane if you really think about that. So it kind of goes to the point what I've been stressing. I can't stress enough. The Super Bowl is one team wins and another team dies. And, the Rams, they're different now, but let's not act like the Rams of that team didn't die. You look at who was still on the roster. The quarterback's gone. The running back's gone. 14 coaches are gone. The receiver who was trying to make the game-winning play, at the end of that game was gone. There's so many guys that are gone, and you look at the defense. Sue's gone, Franklin Myers is gone, Talib's gone, Peters is gone. I mean, there's so many guys that are just gone now. So it's a completely different Rams team. There's some pieces that stayed, and credit to Michael Brockers, who's still there. The 2012 draft he was drafted in. So it's pretty crazy that he's still there. Of course, Aaron Donald's there. You have those guys that are still there, but it just begs the question, though. Like, what's going on here? Is there more to the story? Before you get all, conspiracy about and everything, and I don't know everything that's going on, but I will say that Zach Cromer, his son, is still with the team, much like Wes Phillips is still with the team after they let go of Wade Phillips. So that's an interesting thing there, something to keep in mind. Rams Nation on Twitter says, "This hurts, trust McVay." What's up, Evan? See, I see people on Twitter. Appreciate you guys hopping in, or whatever it's called, Periscope. God, get rid of that. Get rid of the platform now. Just put it on Twitter. So, I think with Zach Cromer staying, Wes Phillips staying, this thing happens. And, I mean, I myself, was in a position a little bit different, not on a coaching staff, but, I worked for a company that, my father left the company, and I was still there. So, I kind of have it's an awkward feeling. It feels a little different, very different. But after a while, I guess you kind of get used to it, and then it's just the job at that point. There's nothing like working with your father. I can say that from experience, but just kind of putting myself into the shoes of Zach or Wes. Zach's a little bit younger, obviously, than Wes. But I definitely can feel them. I know what, how that is. I know what it's like to go through that. So, I mean, it's a weird dynamic there. We'll have to keep in now there's so many different spots. We'll have to keep in mind a lot of spots here because you have the cornerbacks open up, the safeties. I think the safeties coach, if I'm not mistaken, um, Ajiro Viro, I think he's gone as well. So if you think about it, there's a lot of guys that are gone, and they're going to have a lot of spots to fill. And luckily, Sean McVay, with all of the connections he's made throughout this league, I think he's going to be able to fill those pretty well. And we'll see. I mean, if you're concerned about 14 of the 19 Super Bowl coaches leaving, then I can't say I blame you. I'm a little concerned myself, but I'm just going to, wait and see how things progress. But now talking about the football side of things of this move and why this changes everything. When you look at somebody like Aaron Kromer and how he, for instance, would cross-train everyone, so he'd want every single offensive lineman to know all the positions on the offensive line. That was something Aaron Kromer focused on. That's something that maybe the next guy won't focus on. Who knows? Some offensive line coaches are going to, think differently. But I really think this changes everything. And the reason I say that is because even though he's just the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach, I think now guys that I thought maybe had a long-term future with the Rams, look at Noteboom maybe as the left tackle after Whitworth, Evans at right tackle, guys of that nature, I don't feel as confident anymore. I don't feel really confident in any of these offensive linemen except for Andrew Whitworth retaining his role because they love him there. So this new offensive line coach is going to want his guys. And so I would expect there's going to be a lot of offensive linemen that are either picked up in free agency, whether it be for cheap deals or what have you. And I think they're going to really unfortunately, I don't think it's the right thing to do. I don't think you should be going out and trying to draft a whole other offensive line in the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. So that also is very interesting. It's something that's crossed my mind, and immediately it was the first thing that really entered my mind, is that there's a possibility that they end up, blowing up the whole thing with the offensive line, aside from Whitworth, or maybe even Whitworth. I doubt it, though, but I do have concerns about that. I definitely do. I think that there are other pieces that are needed. I would say edge, the edge position is way more important. I call it edge, but really it's the outside linebacker, since we know now that they're, going to go with a base 3-4. But the outside linebackers, I'm not confident in Terrell Lewis. Just not. I don't like that injury history, and then it showed up in the NFL. And you guys already know where I stand on the red flags. I do have an issue with those. I'm pretty concerned about that. I don't feel confident in that. I don't think that's a 100% guarantee. So the last thing I'm going to do is guarantee, well, he's a 100% starter. That's just not the case. So what I will say is that, the edge position's a concern. You're going to have Justin Hollins, who I really like, a guy that they picked up last year, but he was Brandon Staley's guy. He had that connection. So who knows if, the next, now the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, who knows how much he likes him, might want to go out and get his guys. I think there could be a lot of moving around here, very underrated dynamic of this, offseason. And of course, this is a plan. They're going through a plan that they have already set out, but keep in mind, as we learn more, we're going through the plan as well. We're finding out what the plan truly is. And right now, I don't really love the plan, to be honest with you. I don't love the idea of, mass drafting offensive line. I think you get an interior offensive line. We've talked about that. Go out and get a center. But I'm not a fan of drafting guys in, this maximum, overload type of deal. And I just, to me, that's how I look at that, and I think the Rams are going to target the offensive line a lot. I think they'll probably look, they met with Dwayne Eskridge, according to Justin M_NFL. You can follow him on Twitter. It's Justin Mello. He does a great job. And they met with Dwayne Eskridge, the wide receiver, a guy that can really, I think he can stretch the field, kind of shows you where they're leaning. And then we talked about it, meeting with the D3 kid, the offensive lineman. So, but how's everyone doing? I kind of went off the rail there. And I just got to say, I love that the ticker didn't even respond to what I put in there. It is amazing, folks. It's absolutely amazing. It's like I put in the ticker the things that I was going to talk about, and whatever. You agree? Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some significant turnover, not just in the coaching staff, but I think when you get into this, it could fall to the players as well. So I do have that. I have that worry, and I think my YouTube comments are stuck, so that's why. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Staley was great, so I'm not exactly happy Staley's gone, but all right. So there's tickers. I guess now it's gonna work. I don't know. Maybe it will. All right. So yeah. So we talked about that. Now I wanted to get to Carson Wentz, and why do you think this happened with Cromer? Do you think McVay wanted to change or he left? I mean, it said mutual, so I don't know what that really means. It could mean a bunch of things. I don't really think there's any way for us to know since we're not inside the organization, but it could mean a bunch of things for sure. Um, I mean, I wouldn't put it past McVay to be like, I want a different guy. I've had you since the get go, and I just also keep in mind with a modified preseason, all of these coaches will not be able to implement everything they want to. That's true. It's a bit concerning that so many coaches are leaving. No, I absolutely agree with you. I think part of it, I mean, it's a mixture of the fact, I think, talent wants talent. So you have the Seahawks who wanted to get that winning culture and potentially get that offense that, has given them fits since McVay entered the league right out of Shane Waldron. And then they saw, a young up and coming coach in Andy Dickerson, the assistant, offensive line coach. um, and it's just that's the way that is. So yeah, I'm very bummed about that, but I'm optimistic that it's not going to be a huge deal. If he's done coaching, that'd be interesting. I don't know if he's done coaching. I know they're looking at the Giants' assistant offensive line coach as their guy, but we'll see. I wouldn't mind the Rams to pluck some more of the other teams' coaches. Would not mind that at all. Um, he didn't get rid of Chrome. Well, okay, so I don't know if he got rid of Cromer or not, but Cromer did leave. It's said that they parted mutually, so who knows what that means. But I mean, I don't. I know that they were interviewing people for the assistant offensive line coach job, so maybe they liked somebody enough to move on and just make him straight up the coach. Who knows? Um, yeah. So we're gonna get to Carson Wentz now because this is a huge trade, and I think. Wait, what do you mean the Ertz news? Did something just break? What do you mean What Wait, what? What happened with Ertz? I'm not seeing anything here. Dominic, you'll have to elaborate on that because I don't see anything. Yeah. So anyway, I don't see anything on Ertz, so I'll just continue. But yeah, so with Carson Wentz, um, I think this is a great move for Indy. I said it on the AJ show on Saturday. I think when you look at just what Carson Wentz meant to that team in 2017, his second year in the league. I mean, he should have won MVP. He tore his ACL and it changed the game, but I don't think that was necessarily it. If you notice, they won a Super Bowl with Frank Reich, ever since the Eagles lost Frank Reich, it hasn't been the same. So I actually think Frank Reich was the mastermind behind it all, not Doug Peterson. And so I think now, with Carson Wentz going with Frank Reich, I think things are going to work out. Look, I'm very high on the Colts. I felt like they were a quarterback away. Now they have pieces to re-sign in the offseason, but they also have the most cap space of pretty much anybody in the league. I love what Chris Ballard, general manager of the Colts, is doing. Getting a third and giving up a third and a second, a conditional second, is just not a bad move at all. To get a guy that your head coach had previously been the OC for, and a guy that's shown that he can play in this league, I think he's ahead of the other options because he's shown he's played MVP level football, and if he can get to that level, there's something that could be made from that. I do think Zach Ertz is going to follow him to the Colts in some capacity, so that'll be interesting there. But definitely don't sleep on the receivers. I was seeing a lot of dynasty Twitter accounts saying you need to get rid of so and so because of Carson Wentz, and I was seeing get rid of Paris Campbell, get rid of Michael Pittman Jr. I just don't agree with that. I think Carson Wentz is going to a perfect situation here with the Colts. I think the Colts absolutely fleece the Eagles. This is a boom trade. And I think what you're getting, with Carson Wentz is somebody that's mobile, somebody that's big, can break a sack, but he doesn't really need to because the offensive line already looks pretty good in itself. Plus, he's going to have, a star running back in Jonathan Taylor, another really good running back in Nyheim Hines. And then I just think, with the development of Michael Pittman Jr. coming up and Paris Campbell, I think that's going to be, fun to watch. Now, do you go out and get an Allen Robinson or a Kenny Galladay or Will Fuller? Then maybe that changes the whole game and they go from being really good to, great. Wentz can throw every ball on the field. Now, he's struggled, and I think, we too often, lose our minds when a quarterback falls down, like this hollow grave and doesn't come back. And, I felt that way about Jared Goff with the Rams. But there were still moments where obviously Goff, I think, looked better than Wentz this past year. No matter how bad Goff looked, he looked better than Wentz. But Wentz, I feel like, never has looked as bad as he did this year. And I feel like it's also been somewhat based upon the fact, I think when they drafted, a guy like Jalen Hurts and they didn't add a receiver to that weapon list, to me, I didn't really understand. I know they got Rager. I felt like they should have double dipped personally. And the receivers, I mean, Wentz was throwing to, a guy that was a quarterback in college, in Gregory Ward, I believe his name is. So, I'm not too thrilled of the way the Eagles were. And I think that, Wentz can find success with Indy. I think he's legit. And sometimes guys just need a change of scenery. Drew Brees, he had that change of scenery from the Chargers and went to a whole other level with the Saints. So I wouldn't sleep on Carson Wentz at 28 years old. His season, his career is not even close to over. And he's going to be with a guy that he's already shown that he can, play MVP caliber football with. So, is Ertz a free agent? I don't know where he is on that. I think it's literally 80 degrees in here because my throat keeps just, like, my voice keeps giving out. The offense was horrible with play calling and players. Hurts looks respectable because he took off on every play. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just think Wentz had a bad season, and look, it happens, and then I just don't think they handled it the right way. And I'm not gonna lie, I do think it was a little hard with him because it had to have hurt. He was somebody, he's drafted second overall. They trade up for him. He shows some flashes in 2016. Then 2017, he plays an MVP caliber season, tears his ACL, and watches another guy who was behind him on the bench get his moment of glory. So Wentz, yes, he won a Super Bowl, but he didn't win it himself. And I feel like that definitely had to have some sort of effect on him. And just everything going on around that organization and constant injuries of the offensive line. I mean, Brandon Brooks and, all sorts of guys. The guy that they got, Andre Dillard. I mean, their offensive line really can never stay healthy. So I'm not about to say Wentz is done. I don't subscribe to that. I think he's actually a guy like right now. I'm far from moving on from a Paris Campbell or a Michael Pittman Jr. in Dynasty. If you're playing Dynasty fantasy football, I'm going out. I'm trading for one of those guys. I'm trying to get some good value for them. I could probably get Paris Campbell very cheap because he had a season-ending injury, and I know I could get Michael Pittman pretty cheap because now everybody seems to be souring on him. But I'm not souring. Look, I really think Wentz, is legit. I think, he had a bad year and he can bounce back from it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Guys have bad years. It happens, but it's about how you respond. And, the biggest thing I had with Jared is that, with Jared Goff, 2019 wasn't a good year. He had a bad year in 2016, and then 2020, he was all right, but the majority of the season, he was average or just not good enough. So, I think with Wentz, there's a lot to like. I think the Colts are getting a guy that can last in this league. And I mean, last year, again, it wasn't the best, 2,620 yards, 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. But, you look at his career and that hasn't been Wentz. Going back to his rookie year, 16-14, sure. But, after that, it was 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 11 games. And then going back, 2019, he played the entire season, had over 4,000 yards, a 63.9 completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and, had a 93.1 passer rating. The year before had 102.2, and the year before that had 101.9. I think this is a case of the league giving up on a player, and this is a case of a team, relishing in the opportunity. It's no surprise that it comes from, the idea of a guy like Chris Ballard. I'm not surprised Chris Ballard is the guy that ended up making this work. He's one of the best GMs in all of football. He knows what he's doing. This is just a home run, in my opinion, for the Colts. I don't think it's better than the Stafford Rams one because I do think Stafford is he's a better player, and he provides the right now factor. The Rams could have done a straight up trade, Jared Goff for Carson Wentz. I've talked about that with some people. I'm sure it might have been discussed internally at some point or another. But I definitely think that one way or another, the Rams had the better trade for Stafford, but I think Carson Wentz is a steal. And the Colts, I think they're going to do well. And I'm not saying Carson Wentz would have done well everywhere else, but I just love that first off, he's getting out of Philly. But second, he's going to his old OC, in which he put up crazy numbers in 2017. He went 11-2 in 13 games before tearing his ACL. 3,296 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, had a 101.9 passer rating, and obviously he ran a little bit there. Had 299 rushing yards, and I thought he held on to the ball. It was the fewest fumbles in a season for him. So. With 9. So, I think it's a good move for the Colts. I really do. And I think that Ertz would be a great pickup for the Colts. I think Allen Robinson would be a good pickup. There are a lot of guys, there are a lot of different directions that they could go in, and I'm excited to see if they decide to do that because I think it makes a lot of sense to build around Carson. I know now I think they're going to need a left tackle because if I'm not mistaken, Anthony Costanzo did retire. So they would need a left tackle, and here's the best part about Wentz: they didn't have to give up any first-round picks. They didn't have to give up a second-round pick this year. They're giving up a third-round pick, and he retired. So with Costanzo out, then you look at left tackle in the draft, and there are guys available. There are guys there. You could be looking at. Jackson Carman from Clemson, Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame, and Dylan Ray-Dunes. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts go with one of those guys, later on in the first round, maybe even a Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan or a Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. So I feel pretty good about that. If I'm a Colts fan, you have to feel good about that. If they miss out on anybody in the first round, you can still go with Samuel Cosme from Texas or Alex Leatherwood from Alabama. There's a lot of options there. If you're a Colts fan, you have to feel good about that. Yeah, exactly. Juju, Ty. There's plenty of guys. Plus, in the draft, if they want to go out and draft another receiver and have a really young core of receivers, because that would be the 2020 second round pick in Michael Pittman Jr. and the 2019 second round pick in Paris Campbell. And I think that'd be great. But if the Colts wanted to go in the first round, they could get a guy like Rashad Bateman, out of Minnesota. Maybe they get a guy like, Kadarius Toney, Florida, Rondale Moore, Purdue, guys that are electric, add to that. Or if they want to get a guy that, is a better, I would say a better deep threat in the sense that he can, take a guy over the top and actually you make a play on the football, win the 50-50 ball. Nico Collins in this draft out of Michigan reminds me a lot of a Kenny Golladay. So I definitely think somebody like that, Nico Collins, could be a good option there. There's a lot of options for the Colts. The Colts look really good right now. They're going to need to obviously use their money and add some more pieces on their defense, whether they're re-signing guys or what they're doing. I mean, when you look at their defense, they have pieces there, but they have a lot of red names on their defense. And what I mean by that, if you missed the last episode or last, whatever you want to call it, live, Denico Autry's gone. Al-Qadim Muhammad is gone. Justin Houston is gone. Well, they're free agents, so to speak. Anthony Walker, TJ Carey, Tavon Wilson, Malik Hooker, and Xavier Rhodes. So they have some pieces to fill, but they have a young core, headlined by Kenny Moore, Julian Blackmon, Rocky Sin, Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke, Grover Stewart, who they just signed, and DeForest Buckner, who they traded for from the San Francisco 49ers. So, they have a lot of pieces there. I mean, behind that, they have Isaiah Rodgers, a guy they like, drafted in the 6th round. Kari Willis, 4th rounder from the 2019 draft. Ben Banogu, we'll see where they go with him, but he's a pass rusher out of TCU. They drafted in 2019, the 2nd round. And then, a guy that is a friend of the show of Downtown Rams. He came on right before the draft. It was pretty cool. Kamoko Toure. They got him in the 2nd round of 2018. So they have a lot of guys there. Chris Ballard's done a fantastic job of building out this roster. They have some pieces to add, but when you look at the offensive line, they just have a left tackle to really add at this point. They have Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Mark Glowinski, and Braden Smith. And I absolutely love, obviously, Quentin Nelson's one of the absolute best football players in the league at his position. He might actually be the best guard. Braden Smith, I think, is very underrated at right tackle. And, I just think that they've done it the right way. So, we'll see. If they decide to add an Allen Robinson or something, this team is literally terrifying. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to say this right now. Do not be surprised if you see Bolts versus Colts to go to the Super Bowl. I will say that right now. Do not be surprised if you see that in the AFC Championship game. The Colts, man, they were not far away from beating the Bills with Phillip Rivers. Now, Wentz has proven, if he can get back to, how he was with this OC in 2017, he's proven to play at an MVP level. And to be honest with you, I think he's had a really underrated career. We always look back at, what he did in 2020, but we forget the fact that he played all 16 games in 2019, 27-7 and over 4,000 yards. He didn't have the season that he had, in 2017 or 18. And I think that the problem with him is that 2017, he only played in 13 games. 2018, he played in 11 games. Then he played all 16 games, but they went 9-7. And, everyone kind of slept on him because Philly wasn't all that great. But I can't stress it enough, folks. I think he's being slept on a tremendous amount. And I won't be surprised if the Colts end up, winning a Super Bowl with him someday, because I think he's legit, and I can't stress that enough. And all the talk about him and Goff, I'm telling you right now, Carson Wentz is and has always been better than Jared Goff. I'll say that right now. If you took Jared Goff and you put him in Wentz's situation, and then you put Carson Wentz in with Sean McVay, you probably don't have this extreme drop off that Goff had from 2018 to 2019 and 20. I think, with Wentz, obviously the issue there was durability. But Wentz is definitely a better quarterback than Jared Goff and offers more to the table, fits today's game a lot more. And, I'll stand by that. So, Jared Goff, I hope he does well with the Lions, but I just think you're looking at a different animal. If Carson Wentz, here's the thing, if Goff finds his stride and finds a home with the Lions, I think he's capped at being a really good quarterback. I don't think he can be elite. I think Carson Wentz has everything there where if they figure out how to use him properly and it just clicks with, Frank Reich, he can be elite. He can be a top 5 quarterback in this league. I mean, he's got it all. So I just, they're Philly fans. I get it. 3-8-1. You look at that team, but I'm telling you right now, Carson Wentz on the Colts. Watch out for the Colts this year. I said this on the AJ show. I've said it over and over again on Twitter, where I've backed Carson Wentz. This is a guy, it's a funny tale, where you look, I mentioned Breeze. Well, here's another guy, Ryan Tannehill. Everyone gave up on Ryan Tannehill in Miami, and then all of a sudden he goes to Tennessee, and now Tennessee is this major player now every year, it seems like, in the playoffs. And one thing I'll say there is I think he's way more gifted than Ryan Tannehill. I think Tannehill's a solid arm, but I don't think he has a great arm. I think Wentz has a great arm. I think he has a better body that's more built for the NFL. And I just think Wentz is a better quarterback, when he's playing at his best versus when Ryan Tannehill's playing at his best. He's more physically gifted. So as long as Wentz stays healthy and they figure out what's going on with him and he succeeds, with Reich, I don't think it's going to be just a success, folks. I think he's really going to tear it up. So I love it. I love it. For the league, this is great. So I hit my points on that. Yeah, fresh start. I mean, I want to see, Marcus Mariota get his fresh start. I think Winston's going to get his fresh start. I'll say the same thing. I think Winston could emerge, in New Orleans. I'm not saying he'll be, awesome. I really think that's a 3-horse race unless, the Panthers get, Deshaun Watson. I think it's a 3-horse race in the NFC with the Rams, Packers, and the Bucks. But I could definitely see, another team getting in there, but the AFC here, with the coaching, or rather, going back to what I was saying with Jameis Winston, if Winston were to win 10 or 11 games for the Saints, they've got a good defense, and despite all of their issues with their cap problems, I think they can still win 10 games. So we'll see. Colts have been on the cusp for 2 years, so I could see them contending. Yeah, I mean, I think, Carson Wentz is a lot better than Phillip Rivers. So, again, I can't stress it enough. Let's throw that last season out. And actually, here's the thing. Colin Cowherd has brought this up a lot, and I actually like this point that he makes. I don't agree with everything Colin says, but I love when he says this. You take your worst season and your best season, and somewhere in between, that's how you are as a quarterback. Well, if you take his worst season and his best season, you look at 33-7, and then you took his worst season 16-15. I think he's around the 24 to 10 interception guy. And if that's the case, the Colts will take that all day. But I think he can be better than that, and so that's why I stand by that. Let's see here. Hey, Marcelino, how's it going? What's up, Art? Rams are in for some major coaching changes. Jeez. Yeah, they most certainly are. I don't think I mentioned it already, but if you guys like what you're watching, be sure to follow me at JKBoganDTSN. I do follow back on Twitter. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 3K, and it's pretty awesome. But, I want to get there relatively soon. I'm not going to say by the end of the month. I think that's selling ourselves a little short there. But, I do want to get there at some point or another. So, What do you guys want to talk about? We talked about Cromer. We talked about Wentz. No bolts. All right. How's my mic? Is it over? I don't want it to be like peaking and everything if it's the case. And hopefully the quality's good. No one's complaining about the video or the audio. So I'm going to knock on wood there so that doesn't happen. So we've had 301 live viewers on Twitter so far, and we've had 484 viewers on YouTube. And I would get us on Facebook, but Facebook is just awful when it comes to this. So how about Jim Caldwell as a coach for the Rams? I mean, I'm a big Jim Caldwell fan, so I'd love to have him. I think it's very simply put. Jim Caldwell has not. Okay, so Jim Caldwell has not gotten a fair shake in the NFL. Okay, he hasn't. This is somebody that I'm relatively high on. Whether I should be or not, I don't really care. I 100% believe because he's not a raw type of personality. He's more laid back. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. I mean, yes, he's 2-4 in the playoffs. Okay, he wasn't the best in the playoffs, but I mean, look at his career. Okay, first year he goes 14-2. You can say what you will about the 2009 Indianapolis Colts team, but I think he's legit. I think that the 14-2 team was good. The 10-6 team the next year was good. 2011, when they lose one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Peyton Manning, and they have to play Curtis Painter, they go 2-14. I'll be honest with you, I almost feel like they kind of tanked that season. They could have gone out and gotten another quarterback. They stuck by Curtis Painter. It just seemed like the team wanted to purposely lose so they could move on to Andrew Luck, who, by the way, they didn't get to coach. So they fire him after the 2-14 season, even after going 14-2 and being the AFC champion and going to the Super Bowl. Even in 2010, going 10-6, they fire him in 2011, his third year as a head coach, going 2-14 because his number one quarterback gets hurt. Very interesting. Then doesn't get to actually coach Andrew Luck, which I always found interesting with that. So he has to wait until 2014 to get a job, in which he goes to Detroit. He goes 11-5 his first year, then goes 7-9 his second year in 2015. 2016 he goes 9-7. 2017 he goes 9-7, and then they fire him. And he hasn't had a job since. So, I mean, I think he absolutely should have gotten a job. I think the Texans should have hired him. I'm glad they didn't, because I don't think that was a good situation. I don't think anybody can do anything there. That's going to be a mess for a while. But yeah, to answer your question, I would love Jim Caldwell on the staff. I don't know what he would have, what his purpose would be. I don't know if he would come in as a run game coordinator or not. But I mean, I personally probably wouldn't put him as a run game coordinator. I mean, I'm looking at the rushing offense under him when he was coaching, and it wasn't good. Let's see. So rushing offense, as far as yards, it was 30. Okay, so going from 2009 to 2017, every season in between, and he had 2 years as the OC for the Ravens. So we have 32nd in the league, 29th, 26th, 11th, 30th, 28th, 32nd, 30th, 32nd. Yeah, he's not the best as far as getting a run game going based on his ranks. I mean, I don't know if I can pin that all on him, but so maybe I wouldn't want him as the running game coordinator. Why did Cromer leave? I have no idea. Great question, though. I have no idea. I have no idea why he left. Assistant head coach, that'd be an interesting move. I don't really know what he'd do, but yeah, I mean, maybe. I know Stafford likes him. He likes Stafford. Might make sense. Yeah, he's not with the team right now. He was an assistant coach with the Dolphins. Um, yeah, since 2019. So it looks like he's no longer an assistant coach for the Dolphins. Well, so the salary cap goes up 5 million, but in reality, it's just the salary cap floor. It could actually go a lot higher depending on how the NFL the NFL TV deal does. If the NFL TV deal hits it off, then you could see it go higher. I don't know how much higher, but I know the floor is actually what is being reported as such. 180 million is the floor, so it can only go higher. It can't get any lower than 180. I hope that answered that question. Yeah, I definitely think Caldwell caught a raw deal. Why won't the Rams move Havenstein to guard, then move Edwards, Evans, or Noteboom to right tackle, Corbett center? Well, it's a lot of moving around, moving parts and everything. I mean, I would probably say, why wouldn't they give, like, I think they should give Ankrum a shot. I think Tremaine Ankrum has more upside in my opinion, but that's just me. Like, is there a serious drop off between Tremaine Ankrum and a guy like Edwards or Evans? I don't know. There's no way for us to know until we see it, but Caldwell, he was with Baltimore a while ago as an OC. Yeah, I mean, they felt like the salary cap would go to 15 or what am I saying? 175. But it did not. I think Van Jefferson emerges in 2021. I knew what you meant. I knew you didn't mean that. Ankrum, I think, is 6'2" or 6'3". I think the Rams are open to trading Havenstein. I think they're reevaluating their whole offensive line now. This new coach, it's going to be very interesting to see where they go in that direction. Once you open up that can of worms, you don't know what's going to happen. So, do you think Traven Howard can be good because he was supposed to start over Young this season? Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Traven Howard. He's an exclusive rights free agent. The Rams could bring him back if they want to. Former 7th round pick out of TCU, has defensive background. So this is somebody that I definitely think could have a role. It just really depends, I guess. Yeah, I'm excited for Van Jefferson. I mean, it depends. I mean, if Sherman wants the veteran minimum, I think he probably could come to the Rams. But if he doesn't, then I don't know how they would bring him. I'm not worried about the size of Ankrum, to be honest with you. I think the guy can play, and there's people within the around the organization that think he can play. He played in big games for Clemson. I trust that guy. I mean, I like Noteboom a lot more than the rest of Rams fans. I'm a lot higher on him, but I don't know. I mean, I personally I wouldn't replace him, but like I said, I think if you didn't hear me earlier, I think with Cromer, it's all up in the air now. The guys that we felt comfortable with long term, maybe the Rams are telling us they don't. Tanner Muse for inside linebacker. I was surprised he was switched to inside linebacker, to be honest with you. Rams have a meeting with Dwayne Eskridge. Is he good? What round will he go? Eskridge is probably out of the Rams' reach. or maybe right around their second pick. So they have to spend a second round pick on him. To me, he's a number 3 receiver. Could develop into a number 2. I think he can, obviously be a guy that can return kicks and punts. But keep in mind, Eskridge is he's a former defensive back. So he was actually turned into a receiver. So he is still learning the position. And because of that, he isn't going to be the greatest route runner, although he's really impressed, scouts. I watched the Senior Bowl film on him. He was impressive there. And I think what the Rams are going to like out of him is this is somebody that's a willing blocker, which is something you don't always see anymore. So that's somebody to keep in mind. And it's funny, at 5'9", 189, you might not suspect a guy like that to be a willing blocker, but he is. Okay. MTOTHEH23. Sorry, I'm reading on my phone right now, just trying to keep up with the Twitter notifications and everything. Thoughts on center this year? So the way I see it is if Blythe isn't brought back, then I want the Rams to go out and draft a Josh Myers out of Ohio State or Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. I think Humphrey's gone, to be honest with you. That's why I said Myers first. Myers is a bruising center, and to me, I think he's somebody that makes the most sense. I know people will say Landon Dickerson. I don't trust 2 ACL tears and 2 ankle injuries. Not for me. So I think Josh Myers is a guy, in terms of Madden, he would be rated an 84 throughout his career. He'd never be an elite center, but he'd always be just a notch below the very, very good. So I think he's just going to give you consistent play. He's a 10-year type of guy in the NFL, I think, and I think he's going to be, a good one. So that's personally who I would go after. You don't need, the biggest, guy. You don't need a guy to be a superstar at the center position. You just need a guy that's going to be consistent, stay healthy, and, just develop. And I think that's something that Myers can do. What's the deal with Cromer? Just found out. Duke's 428. Yeah, Cromer and the Rams mutually parted ways. So we don't know too much after that, but that's how that's going right now. Do you see any future with any of the practice squad and depth linemen like Demby, Brewer, Shelton, and Allen? No, not really, because of the movement on the coaching staff. If any of those guys were to amount to anything, I'd probably say Brewer. Brewer took the entire season off because he had to opt out due to COVID. He didn't have COVID, but the reason he opted out is because he was COVID. I don't know what the word is. He wasn't safe to play because he had leukemia. He battled leukemia in his career. So, he wasn't able to play because of that, and I totally get that. But he could be back this upcoming season. That first season he didn't really accrue, so it would just carry over onto this season. So, he's a guy that could make the roster. I'm interested in him, but I just think different coaching staff could be the detrimental to his future with the team. The deepest position in the draft is wide receiver, no doubt about it. When you look at the wide receivers from top to bottom, I would say right now, based on what I've seen, I have a bunch of guys on my board here, but based on what I've watched so far, I've only watched 12 wide receivers in depth, and this is my board at the moment. 11 and 12 are going to be guys because I've only watched 12 guys, so I rank the 12 guys I watched. But I have Jalen Waddle, number 1, Jamar Chase, number 2, Devontae Smith, number 3, Kadarius Toney, number 4, Rashad Bateman, number 5, Rondell Moore at number 6, Tylan Wallace at number 7, Nico Collins at 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 9, Terrace Marshall Jr. at 10, Amari Rodgers at 11, and Walt Filer at 12. And so if you ask me, what the deepest position is, I would say, to be honest with you, it's wide receiver, because I think you have 6 first-round wide receivers, maybe 7, depending on how you feel about Terrace Marshall Jr. I've seen him mock there. I'm a little lower on him than the consensus, but I think, guaranteed as far as talent-wise, based on my board, Waddle, Chase, Smith, Tony, Bateman, and Moore are all first-round picks in my opinion. So I would probably say, that's probably the route I would go if you're asking me who has the position that has the most, depth or the deepest, so to speak. And especially because, there are guys that I didn't mention, like a Dwayne Eskridge, who we were just talking about, like a De'Ami Brown, like Seth Williams and Elijah Moore and, Tutu Atwell and Demetric Felton and Jalen Darden and Daz Newsome, Marlon Williams, Amir Smith-Marset I've mentioned on here before, Austin Watkins. He's got killer hands. He's definitely gonna have a career in this league. Sage Surratt, Anthony Schwartz, Frank Darby, Des Fitzpatrick, Marquez Stevenson. I mean, there's so many guys here. Trayvon Grams, Shai Smith. This is a very, very, very good receiver group. Very good. One of the best I've ever looked at, to be honest with you. I've looked at a lot of them. I've only gone in depth with 12 of them. And I'm just blown away, to be honest with you. So there's so many guys. That's why I could definitely see the Rams drafting one. But I won't rule out the idea of the Rams going out and getting Marvin Jones either. I don't think that's completely out of the question. Oh, sorry, Dukes. I just noticed you said something. Dukes428. Cromer is one of the best O-line coaches. I hope this doesn't affect the line next year. Oh, I definitely think it will. I definitely think it will affect the line next year because keep in mind, anytime you're dealing with a new coach of any kind, whether it be an OC, a DC, a special teams coordinator, they have their guys. And the offensive line coach is going to want his guy, I think. So just keep in mind, if you're looking at all these, really cool options in the draft, keep in mind they could be going at guys like Samuel Cosme and, Alex Leatherwood, Walker Little, Spencer Brown, looking at them in the draft because that's around like where they would go. And then, guys like Josh Myers, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Aaron Banks, Ben Cleveland, David Moore, Za'Darius Hutcherson. That's probably where you're going to want to look, in regards to that. And you guys mentioned it. I think Ray Dunes is gone. I think he goes in the first round. And then who was the other one you mentioned? Someone just mentioned him. Miners. Yeah, I think Miners goes. I don't think he goes in the first round. He would also be an option as well. So there's a lot of guys there. But I think that, offensive line is where they'll likely target now without him. What's up, Michael? How we doing? Always like Tom Cable as O-line coach, but doubt he's available. That would be interesting. Okay, so Tom Cable, you said. I think is he on Seattle? No, he's back with the Raiders. That's so weird. He's the offensive line coach with the Raiders. He actually was their head coach at one point or another. Yeah, I mean, Cable would be nice, but I don't think he's going to leave the Raiders for a lateral move. I mean, if you're going to do it, go to the Rams for sure, but that is, yeah. I don't know. The New York Giants, I saw it was their assistant coach. Their assistant offensive line coach is the guy. I mean, I know I don't think it's their offensive line coach that he fired because he got into a fist fight with, but maybe it is. I don't know. No, probably not. So that would be okay. Assistant offensive line coach is Ben Wilkerson. And that name sounds familiar. He's got a football background. I just know it. Yeah, he does. He was with it looks like the Bengals at one point. Okay, so the Giants interviewed him in February to be the offensive line coach. And now the Rams, they were interviewing him to be their assistant offensive line coach. I don't know about that. They're probably interviewing him to be the offensive line coach. Okay, so this is somebody he played as a player. He played for the Bengals in 2005 to 2006. He played with the Falcons from 2007 to 2008 and played with the Florida Tuskers. He's an former undrafted player out of LSU. Offensive lineman, former offensive lineman, 6'4", 213 pounds or 313 pounds. Won a BCS title with LSU. Was a coach with LSU as a graduate assistant. Grambling State offensive line coach from 2012 to 2013. Was with the Chicago Bears from 2015 to 2017 as an assistant offensive line coach, and then went over with the Giants and Joe Judge's group to be the assistant offensive line coach. Well, actually, he's been there beyond Joe Judge. He was there in 2018, so he could be an option. Keep that name in mind. Joe Judge decided to keep Wilkerson, so yeah, he I think that's the only name I've seen linked to the Rams, though. Yeah, so Ben Wilkerson, we'll see. I don't know what you guys think about him. I don't know much about him. If I did, I'd tell you, but I just don't, so. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but we have lost a crap ton of assistants this offseason. Michael, you're right. I mean, it's true. There's been a lot of assistants that are gone. I don't like it. Hey, Jake, should we be worried about this upcoming offseason with all these coaches gone, or are we going to be okay? I think, in short, the Rams are going to be fine. I think when you have a guy like Sean McVay, there's so many players that want to play for this team, and there's so many coaches that want to jump ship and, go with him. So I'll say that. That's how I'll leave that. Okay. He was a former center, by the way. I don't know if I made that clear. Ben Wilkerson was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about him, but, that's the guy that they believe in. Let's see. Smash that like button. Yeah, if you can. Appreciate it. Also, be sure to sub, and if you want to be a member of the channel, it's $4.99 a month. You get access to badges on the channel, and you also get access to a members-only live stream I do every month for an hour. Just basically, you run the show, and we talk about whatever you want to talk about. So, yeah, we have about 8 or 9 members right now. So, pretty sure. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I did not think we'd have that many, but I know I didn't really even want to do it. But then when people asked me if I could do it, I was like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. And then set it up, and sure enough, we had like 9 members. Pretty cool. Pleasant and Cromer, ouch. New special teams coach is an upgrade. Oh, absolutely. Most of the people in here probably would have been an upgrade over the special teams coach the Rams had. Let's see. We definitely know McVay isn't able to keep his coaches, but now someone has to ask, is he driving them away? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I heard some things back in the Senior Bowl when I was talking to a few people, and it sure sounded like McVay and Wade didn't get along. So, let's just adding that tidbit there. Deacon Jones or Aaron Donald? I'm going to have all the old-timer fans hate me, but I'm going to say Aaron Donald. I watch film, and I just don't know how he does the things he does. Even in slow-mo, I can't figure out what he's doing. I mean, I can, but it's just, he's incredible. He's unlike anything I've seen, so I'd say Aaron Donald. And I'm biased, I guess, recently biased, what have you, but I love football history, so I've watched games with Deacon Jones and Merlin Olsen, and those guys are A1 players. But I mean, I just think Donald is in another level. I really think Donald already might be the best player we've ever seen ever play the NFL. Play in the NFL and ever play the sport of football. Yeah, that's true. That is true. They didn't fire him. They kept him around. Appreciate you, Michael, for sharing. We're over the hour mark. I'll go a little bit longer if anybody has any other comments, questions, concerns, whatever. WandaVision comes out at 3 a.m. Eastern time on the East Coast. Can't wait for that. No spoilers, but just wanted to point that out there. And if anybody had CCIV, well, you're raking in the dough. 80 is a unicorn. I'm not saying that Wade and McVay didn't like each other, but like from the start or whatever, but I know at the end of that relationship it wasn't going well. They weren't seeing eye to eye. And I think they had a falling out. Weakest position in the draft, quarterback. And I know that sounds weird because there are 4 quarterbacks that could go in the top 5. Okay? Like, it's a good quarterback crop at the top because you have guys. I mean, I'm going to say it right now, if you guys know me, and I've probably already said before on here, but my top quarterbacks in order, Trey Lance is my QB1. I know that's that's a differing opinion that a lot of people seem to hate, but it is what it is. So I have Trey Lance QB1, I have Trevor Lawrence QB2, Zach Wilson QB3, Justin Fields QB4. What I find really funny is people will be like, "Why do you have Justin Fields so low?" And I'm like, "Well, the other 3 guys are awesome. Justin Fields is really good too. I think all 3 of them are deserving of top 10 picks and maybe even top 5 picks." So when you look at the quarterback position, it's very simple. The quarterback position has 4 top guys, I think. 4 guys that I think can be franchise quarterbacks guaranteed. And then it has a whole lot of question marks. Davis Mills is my 5th quarterback. Mac Jones is my 6th. Ian Book is my 7th. Kyle Trask is my 8th. Kellen Mond is my 9th. Sam Ellinger 10, Zach Thomas 11, Felipe Franks 12, Shane Buechele 13, Brady White 14, Jamie Newman 15, Brady Davis 16. I've only watched 16 quarterbacks, so that tells you everything you need to know about how I feel about Jamie Newman. But I just think that you look at the top 4, it's very top heavy, but this is not a good quarterback class at all. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. Outside of those top 4, has no depth. You don't truly have a Gardner Minshew-like talent. You don't have, the guy that came from, and I totally forgot his name. He came from the same school. Maybe you guys can help me out. I can't remember his name to save my life, but you don't have those type of guys. You don't have. Maybe they'll emerge. Like a Kellen Mond looked really good at the Senior Bowl. Maybe. I'm higher on Ian Book than most people. I know people think that he's going to go undrafted. I like him. Mac Jones, I'm a little lower on than the consensus. He's definitely not a first rounder, but Davis Mills, I think, is maybe the sleeper of this entire draft at quarterback so far. I mean, I could find another guy plenty of guys to watch. So, but to answer your question, quarterback, I would definitely say quarterback is the least, you're least likely to find, depth at the quarterback position in this draft. Let's see. That's a crazy Nugget Rose. That is a crazy stat. Recent analysis using DVOA or defense adjusted value over average. Sean McVay is the highest rated active coach and the 3rd highest rated head coach past or present. That's pretty crazy. That's a good point, Renee. Yeah, that head slap was iconic, and now you can't even use it. I would not mind the Rams drafting Dwayne Eskridge. I want to get everybody ready, though. If the Rams draft a second round wide receiver, don't be surprised. Like, flip out if you must, but don't be surprised because it could happen. I didn't mean Helinski. It was Anthony Gordon. Weakest position other than quarterback in the draft. I mean, based on what I've been seeing, by the way, like this running back group a lot. So far, I've watched 14 in depth. Right now, I have Najee Harris at number 1, Javonte Williams at number 2, Travis Etienne number 3, Kenneth Gainwell at 4, Trace Sermon at 5, Kylan Hill at 6, Jermar Jefferson at 7, Michael Carter at 8, Puka Williams at 9, Khalil Herbert at 10, Ramondre Stevenson at 11, Chris Evans at 12, Jarrett Patterson at 13, Chuba Hubbard at 14. I've only watched 14. Chris Evans is a guy I like a lot. He could probably move up my board. I have him probably a little too low. Very talented running back, can kind of do it all at Michigan. Khalil Herbert, former Kansas guy, so I've watched plenty of him, and what he can do. And then he goes over to Virginia Tech, and I think he really just improved and became a running back, all around. He reminds me the most of Malcolm Brown, but I think he can be a little bit better. Puka Williams, I think, is just lightning in a bottle. I think he's super fast, and he's an outstanding playmaker. Somebody that reminds me of Darren Sproles, unfortunately, without like the build. He has some off the field issues in the past, including what happened at KU, the alleged abuse. I don't remember exactly how it was put, but allegedly. I'm not saying that he did or didn't do it or what have you, but he was suspended, all of that. So that's why I think he'll go lower than where I have him on my board. Michael Carter's fun, slippery in space, kind of reminds me a little bit of CEH. We'll see with him. Jermar Jefferson impressed me. Runs well, has good pad level, but runs well through contact. My biggest issue with Chuba Hubbard is that this guy has vision for days, but when he gets tackled with an arm, he's down. He can't really run through those arm tackles. It's a big issue of mine. I want running backs that can, maintain the balance, but, I think, Jermar Jefferson is somebody, though, that I really like. He does maintain that balance, and he's got the speed to hit that home run if he needs to. Kylan Hill's being underrated, in my opinion. Somebody that can do it all. I like him as a receiving back. Definitely intrigues me. Trace Sermon, I think, is the sleeper of the running back group, because I think Trace Sermon at times, he kind of looks like Todd Gurley when he gets out in the open space. I think he struggled a little bit at Oklahoma. He also couldn't really get into a rhythm. They had constant running back by committee approaches. They had Brooks, and then they had Ramondre Stevenson. So I think when Trace Sermon, transferred to Ohio State, I think things just became more clear with him. Now, they still had Master Teague, but I think that things opened up for him this year, and Sermon was able to really find his stride. His biggest issue's always been injuries for me, but I'm a big fan of Sermon. I like his size, and I think he's going to have a successful NFL career, probably better than his college career, if I'm being honest. Kenneth Gainwell, a redshirt sophomore, he took this year off due to COVID. This is somebody I like a ton coming out of Memphis. Anthony Jones Jr. I've brought over many times. I've talked about him. He's been on the show, Downtown Rams. Anthony Jones Jr., for those of you that don't know, he is the Memphis running backs coach. He's the one that's churning out all this talent, whether it be a Tony Pollard, a Darrell Henderson, and Antonio Gibson, Patrick Jones. He's churning out the talent at running back. He's done a great job. Kenneth Gainwell is one of the best running backs he's coached. I think he might actually be the best after, I'd say, Antonio Gibson or Darrell Henderson, but Kenneth Gainwell is fun to watch, man, and I think he's the best receiver of the crop, so he's somebody to keep in mind. And then, you look at Travis Etienne. I think Etienne, could go 1, he could go 2, he could go 3. I like him. He's got that, game-breaking speed, has great balance, of course, and a guy that can be a threat as a pass catcher. Javonte Williams is the total package to me, and so is Najee Harris. So I think they're 1 and 2, maybe 1A, 1B, but No, Darrell Henderson isn't a bust. Keep in mind he was a third round pick and he's already contributed in games. He's already started, and was actually playing well before he had the ankle sprain. If the Rams had him, it would have been a little interesting to see what would have been made about that. But I want to see them use both backs. As far as though to answer your question on like the weakest, I mean it's probably the defensive line. I don't look at this interior defensive line class this year and think this is like a huge class. There have been guys in the past that have come out where, you look at a guy like the one that the 49ers got, whose name escapes me. I think that there's been better guys in the past, and this is not the best class. You're looking at a bunch of, I think, second round to third round guys as your top guys. There's not a first round, can't miss. There's not a Derek Brown, so I'm not as high on the defensive line, and that would probably be the weakest class, I would say. Safeties are also pretty weak. There's not a Jamal Adams in this class. You're probably looking at Javon Holland out of Oregon, Trayvon Mooring out of TCU, Hufanga out of USC, and then my guy Nazrul Dean, as well as Richie Grant. There's not like a true Jamal Adams, culture-changing Derwin James type of safety. Cornerback, you have two guys that I think could go top 10 in Patrick Surtain and Caleb Farley. But aside from that, it's a weaker class. This is a weaker class all around. I'm not trying to dumb anything down, but the linebackers are pretty good. Jeremiah Owusu Koromora might be the best linebacker in this draft. But, he's up there. Zaven Collins is up there. Micah Parsons, Nick Bolton, Jabril Cox, Cameron McGrone, Chase Surratt. I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's positions that are weaker, I would say. The interior offensive line position, I think, is pretty solid up front. It's a little top heavy. The tackles, this is a year if you want to go out and get tackles. Tight end, there's one guy that would be considered, a can't miss first rounder, and Kyle Pitts. Then after that, I would probably say Brevin Jordan's an early second round pick. Think like Gerald Everett type of second round pick. And that's what I would say on that. Wide receivers, like I said, I think there's 6 in this draft. I think there's 4 quarterbacks that should go in the first round. There's 3 running backs that should go in the first round. There's a tight end. There's 6 wide receivers. I'd say there's 5 or 6 offensive tackles, an interior offensive line, no defensive linemen. Edge defense, I'm not really high on this edge defender class. I don't really like Kwity Paye that much, or Paye or whatever. I'm not really super high on him. Like I've said before, I like Jordan Smith a lot. If Jordan Smith makes it to the Rams pick in the second round, I might go with him, but we'll see. Linebacker, I think there's probably, with Micah Parsons, I'd say Parsons, Koromora, Collins, Bolton are probably all first round picks. Maybe Bolton, maybe an early second. Cornerback, there's 2, and then safety, I don't think there's any. So it's not the deepest of classes, I would say. And keep in mind, there's going to be guys. There could be plenty of guys that I didn't mention, that I didn't cover, that go, top. They go in the first round. So I'm not the oracle. I can't tell you exactly where everyone's going to go, but at some point or another, I should look through these. I can never tell. I can't tell all 70 people right now who are on YouTube that are watching me. I can only see the people that are, logged in. But at some point or another, I should go through and look at who's actually watching, if that's even possible. Because keep this in mind, just because the Rams drafted Akers doesn't mean Darrell Henderson's a bust. Darrell Henderson was a third-round pick that they traded up for. and wasn't used the way he should have been in a season where Todd Gurley wasn't 100%. First off. Second, what I will say is that I think Cam Akers is the guy they fell in love with. And I also think third, they wanted those two, the 1-2 punch, like a Jonathan Stewart, I forgot his name now. Williams. Now I totally forgot his name. It's so annoying. Stewart and Williams, I think the 1-2 punch is very real in the NFL. The 1-2-3 punch is very real in the NFL, but the 1-2 punch is very real, and I think that's kind of where they wanted to go. Akers kind of brings, the thump because he can, run through these tackles. Although what I'll say, and what I've been very impressed with, and it didn't really happen a ton in college because he didn't really have to. Darrell Henderson was more of a home run threat in college. He was more like a Trey Mason. But when he got to the trenches, you saw him. He was banging down low like he was a power forward. He was, creating contact. He was, being violent. I do like his ability to dish out a hit. Thank you, D'Angelo Williams. So I mean, I won't sleep on Darrell Henderson at all. He needs to stay healthy, but yeah, I'm not sleeping on Henderson. Akers has superstar potential, though. I think Henderson has star potential. That's the difference. I think Henderson can be a star. I think Akers can be a superstar. Yeah, absolutely, Jack. No problem at all. I have such a severe cold. It's awful, but I'm trying to figure out the best left tackle in the first few rounds. Well, Dabney, I hope you feel better. That sucks to hear that. The best tackle, I think, is going to be available for the Rams. If you're talking about the Rams, then, you're probably looking at Leatherwood, Cosme, maybe Jenkins, Walker Little, Spencer Brown. Those would be like the best available tackles, I would say, at that point in the draft. I don't think guys like Carmen and Dylan Radunes and Mayfield, especially not Slater, Darisaw, and Sewell, they won't be available. Yeah, so once again, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you're following me on Twitter at JKBoganDTSN. We're going to wrap things up here as we get to the 1:30 mark, and I'm going to head out. Hopefully, it's not super ridiculous outside, and it's not a bad snowstorm. It's supposed to be, but I'm just, one can hope, right? James Hudson, Cincinnati. Do you think running back by committee will continue this season? I mean, it depends. If they go out and get an Adrian Peterson, yes. If they go out and get a running back in the draft, yes. If they stick with the guys they have in-house and they don't even touch the running back position, no, I don't think it'll be a true running back by committee. I think they'll use guys like a Xavier Jones, or they'll use Raymond Calais, but I don't think they'll use them enough to be considered a running back by committee. Oh, no worries, Dabney. So for the Colts, I would say, for the Colts, I'm looking at Mayfield could be there, Dylan Radunes, and Jackson Carman. So, you're going to have an opportunity there to get a guy that can be a legit left tackle. Radunes is probably your best option. I think it'd be funny, too, to get a North Dakota State offensive lineman with Carson Wentz. I actually really like that fit. I'm going to drop that down when I make my first round mock. Do you guys want to see a first round mock draft on here? I know the majority of Rams fans, but would you guys still be interested in seeing an entire first round NFL mock draft on the stream? Let me know. What's up, Peter? No worries. I don't know if I'll be doing it tomorrow because I think it's going to be it should be bad. Oh, excuse me. I think it's going to be somewhat bad out with the snow, so I might not stream tomorrow. Or maybe I do. I don't know. At this point, I have no idea. Maybe I just go for it. I don't know. Thanks, A Green Substance. Yeah, I had a lot of fun interviewing Troy Reader. So did Alexis. Okay, so you do want a mock draft even though it's not Rams. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to offer content for everybody. That's why I talked about Wentz. That's why the logo stays very basic. It stays with that, gray and black type of tone. I'm not trying to, make it a Rams logo or anything like that. I'm just trying to let people know, this is my channel. If you guys want to, see something, you guys dictate the live streams. Um, Unless there's some serious breaking news, you guys dictate the live streams. And, I make content based on, what I want to make. So that's why it's the Jake Ellenbogen channel, and that's why it's not Downtown Rams, it's not Downtown Sports Network, it's not Rams Edge, it's not anything. It's just my channel, and that's why I like the versatility it provides. If you guys want to talk stocks, we can talk stocks. If you guys want to talk MCU, we can talk MCU. The people that stay, the people that stay, people that leave, people that leave. It's the cool thing. Yeah, it's not Raiders colors per se. It's like cement. I'm gonna start. Um, Everybody that joins this, I'm gonna start just. If I don't already follow you, I'm gonna follow you on here. Do you think Rams can go after Von Miller if he gets released? It's all about the legal deal with him. If he's good legally and he's found not guilty of whatever he did, then I think he's going to be a guy that the Rams could consider going after. I'm following everybody that comes in here. So if you want a free follow, I mean, I follow back anyway, but if you want a free follow on Twitter, make sure that you're joining the live stream. I don't know what's going to happen there. Appreciate that, Dabney. Yeah, I follow the whole league. I don't know if I've made that super clear, but I'm a huge NFL fan. I know with the Rams helmet, it can be a little alienating, but, you know, I just think to me, the Rams helmet just basically shows you that I'm a Rams fan. But my knowledge, I think, and what I can bring to the table as far as NFL content, I mean, you just listen to me and you'll see the cover of this. I mean, yes, it had Aaron Kromer, but that was news. And the other side of the coin, it was Carson Wentz. So I'm not trying to alienate anybody. And if I am, maybe I'll just stop wearing the Rams hat, but I'm not going to, take away the helmet. I love the helmet. If your channel is going to be all sports, then you should just call it Jake Ellenbogen Sports. But if you'll talk about anything, that should be just called Jake Ellenbogen on. So when I say I'll talk about anything that's on my mind or anything like that, I'm just talking strictly live streams. Like I wouldn't make a video on the MCU, but if anybody brings up the MCU or brings up, X-Men, Star Wars, what have you on the stream, I'll talk about it. Appreciate that, Dabney. Yeah, I'm subbing, or not subbing, I'm following everybody that joined my, because I can see who joined. It's pretty fun. Do you think, okay, I just saw that. I think we're good. Appreciate that, A Green Substance. Yeah, I mean, it's growing quickly, and it's thanks to you guys. I really do, appreciate the love, and it's really taken off. And the fact that, you know, the fact that it's taken off the way it has, and we're looking at 3,000 subs. I mean, it's pretty impressive, and it's something that I definitely appreciate. And I mean, if you guys don't know, my goal is 20,000 subs. And it's not just a goal. I know I'm gonna hit it. I'm very confident I'm gonna hit it. I think this is, I think this is what I want. This is what will happen. I will hit 20,000 subs. Anybody who's laughing at me, fine, but I will hit it. I'll hit 20,000 subs, and I'll do that by the end of by the end of the year. It's gonna take off during draft season. When we get to the draft, we're gonna have a 3-person draft show. Me, Alexis Kraft, and Adam Grego, my cousin. So Alexis is my co-host for the Downtown Rams podcast, and Adam's my co-host for the AJ show. So we're gonna have that, and then during the season, I'm gonna be doing pregame and postgame live streams. So I'll probably do a pregame at my house. I'll set up. I'm gonna get another camera so I can set up there, and then I'll go to the studio and do the postgame, and then I'll break down film, and we'll do everything. So we're just gonna keep pushing out content. Don't worry if I have an off day or whatever. I'm coming back. I'm definitely working on stuff. So there's no such thing as a day off for me. Just know if there's ever a day where I'm not feeling it, it's that I'm not feeling like, I'm not feeling like streaming today. That doesn't necessarily mean I don't feel like putting out content or creating it in some way or another. So just keep that in mind. Always trying to create more stuff for you guys. Appreciate you guys so much, but I think that's going to do it. Let's see here. Possibly draft Jason away. I don't know if he'll fall that far, but yeah, he'd be an interesting one for sure out of Texas. Appreciate you, Agreed Substance. So excited to see Stafford move around in the pocket and hit those open wide receivers. Goff sometimes moves into a sack. You're not kidding. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. It's been fun. Thank you all for still being here. People flock to people who know what they're talking about. Sick of the Skip Bayless hot take garbage. Just sports knowledge. 20,000 is going to come quick to you. Appreciate that, Scott. Really do. I've had so many, it's just incredible. I've had so many donations, which I had never really expected when I started this thing. I had so many subs. I've had so many likes. I've had so many comments, interactions, people DMing me to see if I'm streaming. I can't even put into words how much it means. I get up in the morning and I'm thinking I have work, and I'm thinking I have to put out content. I'm thinking I want to watch film, thinking about the Rams, thinking about other things in my life. And you guys that DM me and ask me if I'm live streaming, I mean that much. My God. We really couldn't. Streamlabs, you're killing me, man. We really couldn't get through a whole stream without the donations. I don't know if it's the donations. We couldn't really get through a whole stream without the mic cutting out. That's so annoying. Wait, is it the donations? Maybe I'll turn off the donation. Someone wants to test it for me, by all means. I just muted the alert box, so maybe that would do it. Really should mute everything because there's no point. This is progress. I swear to you, I'm not tugging on any cords. I have a great setup. This is a $499 microphone that I got. I have a cloud lifter that is part of this. So the cloud lifter is like 200. Like, this is good equipment. So like when that happens, I get so frustrated because it's just it pisses me off. Try not to curse. I don't curse on here, or at least I try not to. I'm about to donate to myself to see if it does it. If we found the culprit, we found the culprit. But appreciate you, Blake. Looks like we're good. Oh, the alert box, did it not? Okay, let's try that now. I mean, okay, it's not muted. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Streamlabs hates my content. They're trying to shut me down. Oh, boy. Appreciate you guys for donating, AZZA and Blake. I was looking the other day, and I'm like, oh, my God. I cannot believe how many donations I've gotten on here. It's pretty crazy. Well, yeah, I don't think it is. But I think that's going to do it, folks. I love y'all so very much. And I'll be back. Maybe not immediately, because tomorrow, we're probably going to have a snowstorm, all that. But I'll be back. And we'll have another run at this and have some fun with it, right? So that is going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you like what you heard or watched or what have you, well, you can subscribe and you can do all of that fun stuff. But I appreciate you guys. And if you want to reach me at any point, just contact me on social media. At JK Bogan, DTSN is probably the best spot to reach me on Twitter. So appreciate you. Take care. And, we'll talk soon.